Lil Durk. From Chicago's streets to federal charges, a true story. Durk Derek Banks, known to the world as Lil Durk, was born on October 19, 1992. In the Englewood neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, place long haunted by gang violence, poverty, and broken dreams. His father, Dante Banks Sr., was incarcerated when Durk was just a baby, sentenced to life in prison due to drug-related charges. This left Durk's mother to raise him and his siblings alone, struggling to keep them safe in a city known for some of America's most dangerous streets. Growing up in Englewood, Lil Durk was surrounded by the sound of sirens and the reality of crime. But as a teenager, he discovered a new outlet for his pain: music. He started uploading tracks to MySpace and YouTube, creating buzz in his neighborhood. By 2011, Durk released his early mixtapes, including I'm a Hitta, gaining traction in Chicago's rising drill scene. It was a raw sound, violent, emotional, and authentic to the environment he knew. That same year, however, Durk's life took a dark turn. At only 18 years old, he was arrested on a weapons charge and spent 3 months in jail. Just 2 years. Later, in 2013, he was again arrested after allegedly tossing a loaded handgun into his car while being confronted by police. These run-ins with the law would become a recurring theme in Durk's life, but so too would his determination to rise. Above it, despite his legal troubles, Lil Durk's music exploded. His 2013 mixtape, Signed to the Streets, received critical acclaim, and soon, Def Jam signed him. He became one of the faces of drill music, alongside Chief Keef and G Herbo, while others fizzled out. Durk's lyrical evolution set him apart. He began infusing melody and introspection into his songs, giving listeners a glimpse of the man behind the street stories. In 2015, Durk released his debut studio album, Remember My Name, which included deeper, more emotional tracks. The following years saw both triumphs and tragedies. Durk's legal issues continued: probation violations, weapons charges, and accusations of gang involvement, but he kept building his empire, forming his label Only the Family, or OTF then. Came 2020, a pivotal year that brought pain, fame, and change. On November 6, 2020, King Von, Durk's protege and close friend, was shot and killed outside a nightclub in Atlanta. Von's death devastated Durk. He withdrew from social media and later returned with a tribute, the song Backdoor, and its accompanying music video, which ended with a message urging unity and peace. But tragedy didn't stop there. In June 2021, Durk's brother, DThang, was shot and killed outside a club in Harvey, Illinois. Durk poured his grief into his music and remained resilient, refusing to let the darkness swallow him. By 2022, he had become one of the biggest names in hip-hop. He collaborated with artists like Drake on Laugh Now Cry Later, which peaked at No. 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. That same year, Durk released his chart-topping album 7220, named after his grandmother's address where he was raised. The album touched on fatherhood, trauma, and survival, and it resonated deeply with fans. Durk seemed unstoppable. He was nominated for Grammy Awards, sold out tours, and appeared on magazine covers. But underneath the success, tensions brewed. The beef between Lil Durk's camp and rival rappers, especially Quando Rando and NBA Youngboy, continued to intensify following King Von's death. Many speculated that this rivalry would eventually lead to something irreversible. In August 2022, something tragic happened. At a gas station near the Beverly Center in Los Angeles, a man named Xavier Robinson, reportedly a cousin of Quando Rondo, was gunned down. The intended target, believed to be Quando's associate Tequion Bowman, narrowly escaped. Time, few suspected a deeper plot. But over the next 2 years, federal investigators quietly built a case. On October 25, 2024, the shocking news broke. Lil Durk had been arrested in Florida by U.S. Marshals while attempting to board an international flight. Federal prosecutors charged him with conspiracy to commit murder for hire, alleging that he had orchestrated the 2022 Los Angeles shooting as retaliation for King Von's death. According to court documents, Durk had allegedly placed a bounty on Bowman's head and coordinated the attack using private flights and fake names to cover his tracks. The details were damning. The indictment included evidence of text messages, flight logs, and recordings. It was claimed had flown one of the shooters with him aboard a private jet from Georgia to California the day before the murder. While Durk's legal team insisted he was innocent, prosecutors painted him as a calculating figure behind a deadly vendetta. Bond was denied. In a dramatic May 2025 hearing, prosecutors revealed that Durk had been using jail phone lines registered under other inmates' names to communicate. They argued that he was trying to manipulate witnesses and posed a danger to public safety. The court agreed. Durk was ordered to remain in federal custody pending trial, while behind bars. Durk reportedly began a spiritual transformation. Photos emerged of him wearing a kufi cap deep in prayer. He claimed to have embraced Islam and was focusing on inner peace. But that didn't slow the legal storm. In addition to the federal charges, a wrongful death lawsuit was filed by the family of FBG Duck, a fellow Chicago rapper gunned down in 2020. The suit accused Lil Durk of profiting off Duck's murder by glorifying it in lyrics and videos, of using OTF as a criminal enterprise. Despite his incarceration, Durk's music still reached fans. In March 2025, he released Deep Thoughts, an album recorded before his arrest. It debuted at No. 3 on the Billboard 200 and was hailed as one of his most personal projects yet, exploring trauma, redemption, and the burdens of fame. Today, Lil Durk sits in a federal detention center, awaiting a trial that could cost him. The rest of his life, the world watches with mixed emotions. Some see a man caught in a cycle of violence he tried to escape but could never fully leave behind. Others view him as an artist who used his voice to rise from poverty, only to be pulled back by the shadows of his past. His story is more than just music. It's a reflection of a generation shaped by trauma, loyalty, and survival. It's the story of a boy who became a star, then a symbol, and now a cautionary tale. Lil Durk's trial is set for October 14, 2025. If convicted, he could face life in federal prison. For now, he waits as the world continues to debate whether he was a product of his environment or a man who made his own choices. Lil Durk's rise wasn't just a story of music, it was a story of identity, community, and conflict. To understand the full weight of his current legal troubles, we must also understand what he represented, not just as a rapper, but as a symbol. For a generation that grew up without fathers in communities saturated with trauma, addiction, and abandonment. Durk wasn't just a product of Englewood, he was its megaphone. His music channeled the lives of young black men across America who had lost friends, who had watched their brothers die, who carried PTSD before they turned 15. He wasn't telling stories from the outside looking in, he was living them. In real time, one of the most powerful aspects of Lil Durk's music was his vulnerability. Unlike many drill rappers who focus solely on bravado, Durk often let his guard down. He spoke about fear. He spoke about pain. He admitted weakness. In songs like India, he celebrated love and loyalty. In The Voice, he reflected on the pressure of being a leader in both the rap game and the streets. His lyrics connected deeply with fans, not just because they were hard, but because they were human. That humanity became his signature. Fans began calling him The Voice, a title he embraced. He wasn't the loudest or the most flashy, but he was the one people listened to when they were hurting. He carried the grief of an entire culture on his back, and he wore that grief in his songs, but success came with consequences. As Lil Durk's star rose, so did the expectations and the weight of survival. He had more money, more power, more influence, but he also had more enemies. His growing fame didn't shield him from danger, it made him a target. And in Chicago, fame doesn't always mean escape. Sometimes it just paints a bigger bullseye. On your back, his loyalty to OTF Only the Family was more than a label. It was a lifeline. The group wasn't just made up of rappers, it included lifelong friends, cousins, and crew members who had grown up together in the same struggle. But OTF also had ties to the streets, and some of its members were rumored to be involved in criminal activity. For Durk, separating the business from the personal was never truly possible. He once said in an interview, "I'm not trying to make it out and leave everybody behind. I'm trying to bring them with me. But some people don't. Want to leave that life?" That tension between loyalty and growth would become one of the defining struggles of his life. After the deaths of King Von and DThang, Durk began withdrawing more from the public. Though still active musically, his interviews became more reserved. He stopped posting certain things on social media. Insiders say he became paranoid, traveling with more security, avoiding clubs, even changing his phone frequently. But the paranoia wasn't unfounded. He had buried too many friends. He knew how short-lived peace could be. In early 2023, he collaborated with J. Cole on All My Life, a song that many critics hailed as a moment of artistic maturity. The song rejected violence and focused on perseverance, generational trauma, and hope. It debuted to massive acclaim and even earned a Grammy Award. For a moment, it felt like Lil Durk had crossed over not just as a rapper, but as a cultural icon. And yet not even a year later, he was in federal custody. The irony is devastating. Just when Durk seemed to be making the full transition from a street figure to mainstream artist, the past came crashing back. His 2024 arrest shocked the hip-hop community. Some fans refused to believe it. Others saw it coming. Many were torn and unsure how to reconcile the artist. They admired with the man being accused of organizing a murder dash for dash hire. The charges against him are among the most serious any rapper has faced in recent years. Federal prosecutors claim that Durk directly orchestrated an assassination attempt, forwarding money, booking private travel, and giving the green light for violence. They point to encrypted messages, fake names used on bookings, and even surveillance footage tying members of his circle to the attack that left one woman dead. But the defense argues otherwise. They claim there's no direct evidence Durk issued an order or paid anyone. They suggest the feds are building their case on lyrics and associations, not hard proof. They also argue that Lil Durk's fame makes him a target not just in the streets, but in the justice system. "He's a rapper, not a killer," said one of his attorneys, "and lyrics are not confessions." This debate over lyrics being used in court has sparked wider conversations in the music industry. Jay-Z, Meek Mill, and others have publicly called for legislation to stop prosecutors from using rap lyrics as criminal evidence. The case against Durk may become a national precedent for how courts interpret art in relation to crime. Meanwhile, Durk remains behind bars in Los Angeles. He has reportedly been placed in protective custody due to his high profile. His legal team is still fighting for bail, but prosecutors maintain he is a flight risk and a danger to potential witnesses. They allege that even from jail, he has attempted to contact people and influence testimony. These claims are based on phone calls, some allegedly made using other inmates' accounts. Despite the walls, his influence continues to ripple across music and culture. OTF members still release tracks, and Durk's team is managing his digital presence carefully. In May 2025, Spotify confirmed that his music remains among the top streamed artists in the US. His voice may be behind bars, but it's still being heard around the world. Perhaps most telling is how his story is being received by fans. For many, Durk's fall is heartbreaking because it mirrors the reality of so many people in urban America. You can work, pray, and change, but the past doesn't always let you go. It chases you. Sometimes it buries you. For every person who sees Durk as a criminal, there are others who see him as a survivor. A man who rose from nothing, built an empire, and tried to bring others with him. Whether or not he is found guilty, his life has already become a modern tragedy blessed with talent, haunted by circumstance. As the October 2025 trial approaches, all eyes are on what could become one of the most high-profile legal battles in music history. If convicted, Lil Durk faces life in federal prison. But if acquitted, he may become one of the most redeemed figures in hip-hop's long, complicated relationship with the law. Either way, his story of struggle, stardom, sacrifice, and shadow will live on long after the verdict is read.